Gentlemen, there simply are better ways to do life. Now, you might be thinking, oh, come on, it's a little bit relative, Greg. You can't, there's not just one way to do life, and there's lots of great ways to do life, right? And there are lots of great ways to do life. But I got to share this with some boldness here. There are better ways to live. Right? And if you hold them up, and the research is in abundance, massive amounts. And so it really doesn't matter what anybody says, because you'll hear people say like, no, man, you can live any way you want. It's all relative. You can go this way, you can go that way, you can do whatever. There's no right or wrong. And I've literally heard people say this, there's no right or wrong, and one way to live is not better than another way, right? But that just doesn't line up with the research. Now, this isn't my opinion, right? That brilliant people have spent decades, their entire adult lives, studying and researching, finding these elements that just make life better. And this is literally how you and I take decades and turn it into days. Decades of research, and they compile it in things that you and I can learn in days and then implement into our lives. And right, so it gives us this massive advantage. They take decades of research. They've been working on this for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, and we get to learn about it in hours or days. And in moving forward now, our lives can be so much better. Wow, this stuff is awesome. So I got tons of notes here. I'm really going to dig in and in a brief time give you as much as I possibly can, but it's simply a fact that there are things that you and I can do to live a better life, period. And why not do those things, right? Oh, yeah. So it is your privilege and responsibility to discover those better ways. And for example, what things negatively affect your brain? Which things positively affect your brain, right? Just think about that one for a minute. The cognitive functioning of your brain. And we all have to stop and say, well, yeah, of course, there are things that help our brain function better, and there are things that, retard it. And if you don't even have that baseline, like start right there, right? The things you and I do day in and day out affect the cognitive function of your brain. Like the research is absolutely clear on that. There are things you and I can do to help our brains function better. And then it's just clear and obvious. If our brain is functioning at a lower level, that will have effect on all of our life in a major way, like big stuff. There are things that will support your marriage. And there are things that will sabotage your marriage. There are systems and strategies that will support your success. And there are systems and strategies that will sabotage your success. There are things that will shorten your life. And there are things that will help you live a long, healthy life, right? So again, your privilege, your responsibility to learn those things that create a better life. Man, I love this stuff. So, absolutely, like I talked about, absolutely brilliant people have been researching this, right? So again, we have to step back from like opinions and like, well, I think this, and so thinks that, and that celebrity thinks that, and this person says that. We step away from all that and say, what is the clear research, the common denominator that for all of us allows us to live a better life? And this is really ultimately all of what I do in the Be the Man Masterclass is for this, is to help us live a better life. Follow the research, right? Follow the science. Look at all the conclusions that brilliant people have made for decades and align ourselves with the things that just make life better. And why not do that? And when it happens, when I lift over here, it has this lifting effect on all my life, right? Like I always talk about, you are the tide that lifts all the boats in your life. And so when you start making improvements over here, and then over here, and over here, and it starts elevating everything. And so you get into what I call holistic optimization, where your life is just better all around because there's a better way to live. So let's dive in. Ready? I'm just gonna kind of just run through here. You can drink out of a fire hose for a second here. Well, I hit a bunch of key elements. So the science, the research in massive amounts just says, yeah, do this, don't do that, your life will be better. Okay, number one, are you ready for this? Sugar. Sugar goes into your body, and man, it tastes good, but it goes in and it has a detrimental effect on your brain and on your obviously blood sugar levels. And sugar is an inflammatory, right? It causes inflammation at a cellular level. So anytime cells are experiencing inflammation, and anytime it's messing with blood's going through our heart, through our whole body, through our brain, and sugar is having a negative effect on the brain. Tons of research on this. You can geek out all about it, learn all you want. But sugar is negatively affecting our health, our body, our brains. And so we cut it out, right? And as much as like we like it, and it's in everything, and they keep increasing the amounts. It's crazy. But cutting sugar out of our lives gives us better energy, better health, right? Longer, better chance to live longer, better chance to have clearer cognitive function, right? All around, it leads to a better life. So cut sugar out. Next, obesity. Now, that seems like an obvious one, right? Like, well, yeah, but the effect of obesity on your heart. Did you guys know that obesity and the effects of obesity are killing over 400,000 people every year just in the United States? Totally preventable, right? Wow. So the effect on your heart, the effect on your brain, because it restricts blood flow and it makes it, the research that Dr. Daniel Amen did, it said the brain shrinks when you get obese and overweight. And then on your lifestyle. And then this one goes to on your self-respect and your self-confidence and your self-image. And then, of course, your ability to do things. It really begins to restrict what you're able to do. So if you've allowed yourself to get overweight, drop the weight. Get serious about it. Just tighten up, eat better, eat smaller quantities, and move your body. Do whatever you need to do to drop that weight and get in a great healthy state. That is just research there. It's all out there. It's just better. It just works. Leads to a better life. Same with tobacco, caffeine, marijuana. There's tons of research out there of how those things affect the brain, how they affect the blood, how they affect the body, and how they have a temporary effect, right? You get a high, you get a buzz, you get relaxation, it gets in the bloodstream, whatever. There's a temporary effect, but the long-term result is always decreased quality of life and energy and health and vitality. And there's, again, massive amounts of research on all of that, including recently, this is new stuff to me, marijuana use, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, no, there's no negative effect of medical marijuana. And they did something like 60 some odd thousand brain scans. And they found that marijuana was number 2 for causing brain shrinkage, right? It just decreases blood flow to the brain. So caffeine gives you that high, right? We get dependent on the caffeine. And we're like, oh, I feel energy, I get going. But over the long haul, great book for that is called The Power of Full Engagement. They go into the research with this. Over the long haul, it just kills your energy. It makes you dependent on that, right? So it restricts it. So again, research is there. Cut those things out of our lives. Wow, better life, right? Oh, I love this stuff. Okay, let's keep going. Processed foods. Chemicals inside of the foods. Again, massive amounts of research. It's all out there. The more processed the food, the more chemicals in the label, the more it's having a negative effect at a cellular level on our bodies and actually our brains as well, right? So if you look at the label, you guys, and it's just like all these things you can't produce or pronounce and recognize, like don't even that does not grow on a plant or a tree. Like, limit that stuff. Get back to basics and as fresh as possible, right? And as natural as possible. And it's just better, just absolutely better for your body and better for your life. Let's keep going. Sleep, rest, and recovery. We've got to get great quality sleep and in large enough amounts where the body can recover. So while you're sleeping, again, massive amounts of research for decades, great stuff on this, your body resets. It kind of does a flush, dump, rinse cycle during the night, and it gets rid of all the junk. And so if you're good deep sleep, flushes that out and cleanses the body. But if we don't let that happen, then the cleansing doesn't happen. The brain kind of resets, right, and cleanses and increases retention. So if you go into deep REM sleep, right, then it actually increases your memory and your retention. So if you have a time period in your life where you don't sleep very much, you just go, after a while, that part of your life will be fuzzy and it'll be harder to retain memories, things you learned and experiences you had. Like the memory gets fuzzy around those time periods because the sleep wasn't quality, right? And there's way more on that. But rest is a responsibility. Recovery is a responsibility. Great sleep is super important. For men especially, that's when our bodies produce testosterone, right? And it's just, again, healthy, functioning body and brain, you've got to get good sleep. My thought here from some of the research, it's not all conclusive on this, but getting into bed 10 or 11 is ideal. I hear people talk about, I try to be to bed 9:30 or 10, out cold by 10. Right? And just getting into that range is awesome. Just saying, good life, right? You got to get some energized and alive. Ooh, also, this flush I was telling you about, your body's getting rid of what's called metabolic byproducts, and they need to be cleared out of your bodies. Okay? Here's another one, stress. And I'll combine this with stress and cortisol. Cortisol is a chemical that your brain releases into your body with stress and also with fear, right? And so the more fear we have, the more negativity we have, the more stress we have. And stress isn't necessarily an outside stimuli, it's an inside reaction, right? Because multiple men can have the same experience and one of them can feel stressed and the other one's like, no, I'm good. I didn't feel any stress. Right? So it's not always the outside stimuli, it's really what's happening here. But input obviously determines output. So if I'm listening to the news all the time, which usually is shock and negative and scary and trying to, it releases cortisol like crazy, right? And the body becomes addicted to cortisol and the cellular receptors on the cells start to change and transform to have more cortisol, right? Well, cortisol gets in the body, it totally negatively affects your immune system. In fact, interesting side note here, anger. If you get angry for 10 minutes, just 10 minutes of anger can suppress your immune system for anywhere between 45 minutes to 2 hours. Wow, right? So this is affecting our bodies. Cortisol negatively affects your body in lots of different ways. That stuff is like toxic. And it had its purpose, but many good people are just they're just swimming in cortisol all the time. So we've got to have solid strategies in place to really decrease the negative effects of stress and cortisol and fear in your body, right? And in your brain. Wow, better way to live, right? Tons of research on this, better way to live. Connection, right? Absolutely essential that we have positive, really good connections, not going through the motion stuff. I talk about the difference between transactional and transformational. We can transactional connection, like, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. And you guys you do this with your wives sometimes, and your kids is crazy. Like, hey, I'm going here. You run this errand. You take care of that bill. Do this thing, and you do life, right? And you're doing family and taking care of things, but it's super transactional. And when you really think about it, it's like very little connection. And ironically, as we're in the connection age of connecting online with all these people, but more and more disconnected. So we need real connection with relationships, real great conversations, and feelings and emotion, vulnerability, openness, real connection, man, leads to a better life. Again, massive amounts of research on that. Just leads to a better life. Novelty. The brain and the body and your soul needs novelty. You need new things, new experiences. There's new research coming out, just absolutely phenomenal on this, is really the brain is coming down to use it or lose it. There are parts of the brain that they're realizing that if we don't use them, we're not introducing new things, challenging things, difficult tasks, all this stuff, and we're just not keeping it active, then we start losing it, and over a period of years or even decades leads to dementia and Alzheimer's, right? And so they're finding that if you're challenging your brain and learning new things and trying new things, it's creating new neural pathways, new highways, so to speak. And so even if there's some plaque in there in the brain, and you're building new neural pathways and highways all the time, you can just reroute, recircuit, and go around, right? And so the brain and your body and your life craves, you're hardwired for novelty, for newness, for new challenges, new things, from just using your non-dominant hand more, to trying different foods and learning a new language and learning a new musical instrument, just doing all these things that just light you up. The research is there in massive amounts. Doing those things leads to a better life. Yeah, right? I hope you're taking notes here. I hope you're making some just little annotations and ideas. You can kind of put together a list and say, yeah, these are simple things we can do. That, again, I know I'm beating this down. The research is clear. There's a common denominator for all of us. These are things we can do to live a better life. Yeah, love it. Add orderliness to your life, right? Too many people live in chaos, and we need more order. There's this, again, tons of research, tons of science there. Add orderliness, add responsibility. Get up at the same time, right? They found that if you get up around the same time every day, it's better. Get up, make your bed, right? Organize your stuff. Simplify your life. All these things, you got to bring order to the chaos, whether it's your desk or your car or your garage or that drawer that says chaos, or the closet, or whatever you've got going on. And you got to organize and order and simplify here and all around you, and there's connectedness in all of that. So bring order and responsibility to your life. It's better. Another one, become a lifelong learner, right? Unfortunately, most people have traded lifelong learning for an endless entertainment. And as one doctor said, an unending stream of visual trash. Yes, there's research on this as well, right? Become a lifelong learner. Dedicate time every day to learn. And it just leads to a better life. Boom! And all of this stuff are things you can implement, right? You can practice, start putting it together. And I know you're drinking from the fire hose. I'm hitting it. One of the coolest things I've learned is at a cellular level in our body, there's 3 T's. 3 words that start with T that really affect and change and alter a cell and even a gene. And it's toxins. So look at all the toxins in your life, from chemicals you spray in your yard or your house to hair products to lotions to foods, right? Any toxins and the negative effect it has on our bodies at a cellular level. Trauma, right? And trauma can include, of course, you get punched in the face and your cells change and you get a black eye, and trauma can affect, or you get a cut, right? That's trauma. But also trauma that happens here, again, changes your biochemistry. And so healing through that. So toxins, trauma, and thoughts, right? And this all comes from, there's a great book called The Biology of Belief. Excellent. Just dive into that research. It's fantastic. But thoughts, negative thinking, persistent negative thinking, pessimism, right? Spirals, what we focus on in the darkness, that has an effect on us. I know it sounds crazy, but it's so true, at a cellular level, and it alters our biochemistry. So we know emotionally and mentally, we just know it's like, yeah, if I think better, my life's better, right? Just more positive thinking, more optimistic thinking. Like it just changed everything. It's so powerful. Anything, here's another one, okay? Anything that harms your immune system. Anything, think about this one. Anything that harms your immune system will ultimately have a negative effect on your life. Think about it. Well, like even a slightly weakened immune system will affect the quality and longevity of your life. Anything from rashes to colds to cancers. And there, again, tons of research. You want to live a better life? Do things that support your immune system and avoid things that weaken it or damage it. There it is. Like, it's simple, right? And it makes sense. All this stuff just rings true. You're like, yeah. I mean, even if it was slightly weakened and you just were getting a cold consistently or just didn't feel well, catching everything, getting little rashes and little disturbances in the system, right? A disturbance in the force. And that happens chronically. Is that not affecting the quality of your life? Absolutely it is. Here's another one. Moving your body vigorously is so good for you. And doing it in the morning is better than doing it later in the day, right? So it's, again, massive amounts of research. A simple thing, move your body vigorously. If you can do it earlier in the day. It helps you throughout the whole day, helps your body, everything, makes life better, right? So there's just simple things that we can do day in and day out to make life better. And it's interesting, like collectively we're spending billions of dollars trying to find solutions to problems that we could so easily prevent by choosing to make better decisions on a daily basis. So again, like I know this was a lot of stuff, and I hope like I hope you identified several things you can do. That again, the research is out there. You can dive into it all you want. Don't take my opinion for it. Do the research, do your homework. But like my opinion, this isn't my opinion. And people's opinion aside, but like ways to do life, there simply are better ways to live. Well, let's live them. Let's make that happen. Let's live a better quality life by following these kind of common denominator, basic practices and principles that just make life better. So start today. Make your life better. Reach upward.